LaTanya Robinson. Thank you for watching In Camera Review. Today we have the pleasure of speaking with distinguished attorney Julia Sherwin of Haddad and Sherwin. Julia, thank you so much for joining us today and spending a few minutes out of your day. I'm sure you're super busy, but we definitely appreciate it.
Well, thanks so much for having me.
So we're going to start. So you work for Haddad and Sherwin. You're one of the owners. How long have you guys been in practice?
Well, my partner is also my husband, Michael Haddad. We started in Detroit, and we moved out here in 1998 and started our law firm here in Oakland in 1998.
And been thriving ever since?
Yes.
Has the pandemic slowed you down in any way, your practice down?
Well, there was definitely a big adjustment period because we're a small firm and, we're a really close-knit team. So when we were all put on remote work, there was definitely an adjustment period. But now everybody's working. Some of our team members are moms, and one has an infant at home and the other one has 3 kids who are homeschooling. So they work part-time, but everybody else is back in the swing of things full-time.
All right, so just to go back to the beginning, can you tell us a little bit about where you grew up and your education, your high school and college background?
Yeah, I was, both Michael and I were born in Detroit and raised in the suburbs of Detroit. And then I went to the University of Michigan undergraduate and Wayne State Law School in Detroit. And then we moved out here in '98.
Did you know Michael growing up, like as a kid, or you met him in college or something?
No, we met, we both started our careers basically at the first racially integrated law firm in the country in Detroit, a firm called Goodman, Eden, Millender, and Bedrosian. And I was in law school at the time, and I was working for an employment discrimination firm. And I read a kind of a bio in the newspaper about the founder of the Goodman firm, Ernie Goodman. And I was so impressed with him that I basically told my boss I want to go work at that firm. So he called up Ernie's son, Bill, and, pretty much told him to hire me. And then Michael and I met. Michael was a brand new lawyer there. We met on my first day as a law clerk at the Goodman firm and ended up getting married 4 years later.
And then headed out here.
Yeah.
At some point. Did you, while in school or in college, did you have any type of hobbies or any clubs? Were you part of the law review in law school or anything like that?
No, I was working as a law clerk in law school. So I was, every moment I had that was not, required to be in a classroom, I was at Goodman Eden learning how to be a lawyer from people practicing in my area of practice.
So your practice is police misconduct, correct?
Yeah, we handle wrongful death and serious injury police and jail misconduct. So that also includes jail suicide cases and cases where people are subjected to deliberately indifferent medical care in jail. Yeah.
I know you said you started off with employment. What drove you to do police misconduct or civil rights police misconduct?
Well, when I told my boss, Shel Stark, I wanted to work at the Goodman firm, he called up Bill, and Bill had me come in for an interview is kind of how they put it, but he already knew he was going to hire me, and he handed me a mediation brief, and it was for a man who was severely beaten by the Detroit police on July 4th, and he asked me, would you be interested in working on these cases? And at that time I hadn't thought of being a police misconduct lawyer, but I said absolutely, I would. It was an outrageous beating of this poor man, and so Bill really kind of got me into working on police misconduct cases.
Was Michael working on them at the time?
Yeah.
Okay. So
yeah, actually, yeah, the mediation brief. So I opened the mediation brief, and before I read it, I just flipped it open to a page, and it said that the clients head was lying in a dinner plate sized pool of his own blood.
Wow. Okay.
I read the brief and then noticed this funny looking name at the end of the author, Michael J. Haddad. And so it was a brief he'd written.
Okay. And he wrote the words in a book. Okay. That's funny. So in your practice area with police misconduct, for people who are wanting to do this type of law, do the type of law that you practice, what books do you recommend for them to read, or should they be reading to learn about this?
Well, I like to read. I'm really very nerdy, and I love to read books on practicing law. But I will say probably two books that aren't specifically related to practicing law that I found really inspiring and really helping to frame kind of the kind of commitment that we need to do this work is Brian Stevenson's Just Mercy. And then also the late Congressman John Lewis wrote an amazing book called Across That Bridge. And I would say that his book most accurately describes for me the kind of commitment and mindset that we need to do this work, really committing yourself to doing work based on light and not darkness, based on justice and not injustice, and just dogged commitment. And then there's a fantastic legal publisher called Trial Guides. Their website's trialguides.com, and they publish an enormous library of really wonderful books that really have helped me a lot. Some of my favorites are Rules of the Road and Becoming a Trial Lawyer by Rick Friedman, and Changing Laws, Saving Lives by Randy McGinn. I would say Dynamic Cross-Examination and Case Analysis from Jim McComas, and 12 Heroes, One Voice by Carl Bettinger. And then I would say anyone, even if you're not just doing police cases, but even PI cases, David Ball on damages, that's not a Trial Guides publication, is really great. And then
David Ballin?
David Ball, David Ball on damages. He has two versions. He has a thin version that's like this, and then he has one called Damages 3, which is thick. I actually prefer his earlier version that's really thin. And then Dorothy Clay Sims is an amazing lawyer, and she wrote this fantastic book called Exposing Deceptive Defense Doctors, and I've used that a lot in dealing with medical experts. So sorry, that was kind of a long answer, but I really—
No, you said you like to read. Do you read a book a day, or is it like every weekend? Okay. So what are three things that are necessary, that you feel are necessary to be successful in your practice area?
Well, I think the one that's really important is having a work ethic and sustained attention to detail. It's really important, putting your butt in a chair and reading and writing. So that's really important. And then really having a passion for civil rights, because judges sometimes will do horrific things in cases, and it can be very demoralizing. So if you're really committed to the cause, it kind of helps propel you and keep you going, even when things get tired and disappointing. And then I would also say compassion, not only for our clients, at least because we have such a large wrongful death practice, our clients come to us as a result of the worst thing that could happen to them. So real compassion for your clients, but then also compassion for everybody in the case, including opposing counsel and the defendants. We sure do have some cases where police officers have brutalized or killed our clients, and I think the officer might be a sociopath or a psychopath. You can find hardly anything to recommend them. But then there's a lot of defendants are, doing their best, sort of, and basically decent people who either grossly overreacted or, really horribly mismanaged a circumstance. And so they absolutely must be held accountable, but you can do that with respect and compassion for them and dignity. It's kind of like those are the officers who maybe didn't see the red light versus the officers who saw the red light and sped up and blew through it, so compassion, I think, is really important.
My name is Lizzie Lockwood, and this is In Camera Review.